Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley. This is another church, historic church in Cumbria. This is St. Bridget's, Beckermet. It's one of two churches in the village of Beckermet, and originally they were two separate parishes. St. Bridget's really has nothing left of the parish. It's a lost village, you may say. But this is a really good example of how churches would have been in about 1800. This is, yes, there's medieval origins here, but this is essentially a Georgian church. But it's not one of your grand Georgian churches with the Venetian windows and box pews and so on. This is a little church in a rural parish for a small rural population. And it's still actually an active Anglican church, although very few services are held here now because, as I said, there's another church, St. John's, that's in the village. But this church, I come out here today because this is a really good example of the period. It's a good example of what was in many places before the Victorians. It's noted for its, you can see above me here is this nice vaulted roof, and you can see there's a shallow chancel, and there's the east window. So we'll have a look around, point out the salient features here, and particularly dwell on this point of old rural churches. So enjoy. As usual then, we begin at the west end. And you can see here we've just got rows of these simple benches, certainly Georgians would call them benches, not pews, facing forward. There's no big house pew, there's nowhere in that sense. You do have these simpler seats at the back. You can see here these don't go all the way to the end. And here is the font. This is a very simple, it's what they call the bird bath type. You can probably see why. And this is made of probably not black marble, but something that looks like black marble, maybe black marble. Anyway, it's black, and it's very simple. Doesn't get used a lot. I say there's no village here. That's the vestry. Just this little cupboard, really, to keep the that the minister could go into before the service. And we have the commandments here on the north wall. The most obvious medieval feature here is the chancel arch, which appears to be 14th century, might be 15th century, of course. Styles don't suddenly change over, and certainly in the country like this, the styles are likely to remain the same longer. The pulpit has been replaced. The three-decker is no longer here. There's some elements reminding us of it, but we've got this somewhat battered but still rather elegant columned pulpit. And we have here memorial to the Reverend Joseph Braithwaite, formerly of Blackbeck, who died on the 21st of January 1970, so it could be 1871, at Montreal, North America, aged 65 years. I wonder why they don't say, well, they don't say Canada because Canada didn't exist yet, but Montreal, North America. North America as opposed to the United States of America. You can see there you've got the ropes for the two bells that go ding and dong. And the chancel, and again very, very simple. We've got the Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed, and then above the window that's the royal arms of King George III. Another medieval feature here is a surviving altar. This is what they call a mensa, strictly speaking, the altar slab, and it's got a cross at each corner and one in the middle, so 5 crosses. And this would have been, so many were just buried under the floor, because the Reformation, they said, we're not going to have these anymore, they're superstitious, and quite often they were either buried under the floor, or they were even used as paving slabs. There's a nice big chunk of local sandstone there. And so we turn around to look west, and you can see here that this is just this very simple interior. The vault gives it almost this sort of tunnel-like appearance because, of course, it's all painted white. But no, none of this is underground. This is not an underground building. It does have a rather underground feel to it. So this is St. Bridget's, Beckermet. It's one of the... it's unimproved. It's still in use. It hasn't been massively restored. And yeah, the sort of down-at-heel feel, actually, is how it would have been in 1800. A lot of parish churches were like this. That's why you get the massive restorations, in part. You can also see here the walls seem to be leaning outwards slightly. Now, as far as I can tell looking at the outside, they're not. It's just that there's a slight batter to them. They're thicker at the bottom than at the top. And that's often a sign of being quite an early building. So, yes, there would have been a three-decker here with the clerk's desk at the bottom, but now that's gone. We've just got this little pulpit here. So that is the inside here. Incredibly simple and very lovely. It's, well, we'll go outside now and comment on the exterior. And so here we are outside at Beckermet. Again, you can see this is a very simple, long, low building. We've got this nice slate roof on it. Originally the roof would probably have been Cumbrian stone slabs rather, but slate is lighter and easier on the roof timbers. We're actually relatively near the coast here, although the church is a little bit inland. And the dedication to St. Bridget, who is of course the female patron saint of Ireland. Interesting, I'm filming this on St. Patrick's Day on 2025. So not St. Patrick, but St. Bridget, the female patron saint of Ireland, the mother saint of Ireland as she's known. The dedication is interesting because we're just across the Irish Sea. We're not very far from Ireland, and so there were trading connections here. And the dedication goes back into the Middle Ages, so people would have been coming across the Irish Sea. There may have been, and we do know that the female saint who is most associated with this part of Cumbria, St. Bega, was supposedly an Irish princess who crossed the Irish Sea, so these links are there. And I can smell, in fact, I can taste the salt air, but you can't see the sea from the church, which is probably a good thing when there are storms. So we'll have a look around the outside and point out some of the salient features, as we say. So here we are, going a little bit further out to get the whole building in, and you can see how small it is. You can see that little window on the side there, which suggests to me that the pulpit may have originally been there, or certainly was at some point there. I could be wrong. But here we have the oldest objects here. These, and this is the base of a cross, and the other is a Danish-style hogback. Well, no, that's another cross, in fact. But it has Danish elements to it. So we're near the coast. The Danes, they're one of the groups like the Vikings who come over and they raid the coastal areas like this, and some of them settle. So you've got your Danish raiders, you've got your Irish settlers, and you've got your little church. So we're not very far from the coast. I can just see over there, inland, looking towards the Lake District, looking towards the mountains. This is the plain, and over there you can see that's the nuclear power station at Sellafield. So we are on what's known as the nuclear coast. You can see the daffodils in the graveyard and the crocuses. It's all very, very nice Anglo-Saxon carving. And although it feels incredibly isolated now, we've got to remember that until comparatively recently, being near the sea was the opposite of being isolated, because it was the oceans, it was the seas that were the highways, the motorways, if you will, of that period. And there we are, just can't get down there where I thought, so get a bit closer. You can see these great big gravestones on the wall, along the wall of the church, these high status burials, the local great and good. The graveyard here is obviously much used. There have been some relatively, well, in fact, there is a modern graveyard extension, so it is still in use for burials, even as the church is used for a few services every year, but it's not used every Sunday, which I say is understandable because less than a mile away there is another church in the middle of the village. And here we are, there's the east window. This red sandstone is relatively soft, so it's been renewed. You can see there, those two mullions are basically brand new, not weathered at all. And you can just see over there on the other side of the old railway line, there's the village, or part of the village. And all around here, some houses over there, but there's no houses around St. Bridget's. And that's why St. Bridget's isn't used very much. There's the two bells, very simple building, and protected by those low hills from the worst of the storms on the Irish Sea. So this is St. Bridget's, Beckermet. And so here we are at St. Bridget's, this very simple building not far from the Irish Sea, and the building that is very much, as I said, like many churches would have been 200 years ago. A building that is not often cleaned. I mean, that's one of the things, but they wouldn't have been very often cleaned historically. Certainly not a place like this, where there's no houses to speak of. There's no village. The village is up the road, and St. John's is there. But it's still open, and it's very much worth a visit. If you're ever in this part of Cumbria, this is one of the most special places, it really is. So, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.